Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome back to Boss Leap. I'm Dr. Angela Walker, and I'm here with my brilliant and beautiful co-host, Dr. Sylvia Morris. Today's guest is a visionary at the intersection of technology, innovation, and imagination, a former tech executive turned entrepreneur and futurist. She's also been called the Olivia Pope of technology, solving complex problems with creativity and precision. And when we finish this interview, you'll know exactly why they call her the Olivia Pope. From AI to cybersecurity to the future of smart living, she's helping us understand how technology can empower, protect, and connect us. And during the interview, she brought up the aspect of living the second half of our lives. And that brought us to thinking about what we'd like to do. And for me, in the second half of my life, I think I'm living to choose with deep intentionality in everything that I do. Guided by faith, family, and purpose, I want to pour into my children, cherish my friendships, and make space for the people and experience that truly matter. I think my work now is about traveling lighter, doing away with things that no longer serve me, making it a purpose to serve others in the best way that I know how, and using what I already know. And we've talked about this in several interviews, I think, and using the things that I already know. I don't need to reinvent the wheel to uplift women on their journeys. And I don't feel like I'm reinventing myself per se, but I'm refining how I show up for myself and for others. And hopefully using mindfulness, gratitude, we talk about all the time, and absolute joy. How about you, Sylvia?
I love that. Love, love, intentionality.
Yes.
Gratitude, the evolution. I think that is absolutely fantastic. You know, it was such a fantastic conversation, and I'm excited for our listeners to hear what we've talked about today. And when I think about the second half of my life, I am in my mid-50s, I'm proud to say. There are probably three key words. So for me, it is authenticity. It is also just wellness. So doing all the things from a mindfulness perspective, from a health perspective, from an eating perspective, nutrition, to make sure that I am well and can enjoy life. And then the third word is fun. So doing the things that bring me joy and using all of my skill sets to do work that is meaningful for me. And also to spend time with people that I know and may know in the future that also bring me joy. So when we get into our conversation, the next voice you will hear will be Chandra Brubaker.
Hello and welcome back to Boss Leap. And as we promised, we are here with Chandra Brubaker with Brainchild Technologies. And Chandra, we're so excited to have you. We're certainly speaking to something outside our wheelhouse. And we are really eager to learn everything that you have to share. And along those lines, we'd love for you to tell the person that's listening right now, maybe a little bit of what they may be able to walk away from today, that they may be able to use in their everyday life. Or just something you think is pertinent for them to understand from today.
Yes, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Boss Leap podcast. I'm very excited and happy to be a part of it. One of the things that I think is important for for everyone in the times that we are living in right now is to find some kind of way to dig into curiosity. Mm-hmm. I think curiosity is what helps educate us. It helps propel us forward. Mm-hmm. And it helps us align ourselves with where we're going in terms of technology. Technology moved at a slower pace, but now technology is moving so rapid that it's hard to keep up with all the changes that happen on a day-to-day basis. So I think it's really important to start with curiosity, because curiosity will dig into education that will help us propel forward.
I love that. Curiosity is so important. And certainly curiosity, I'm sure, is what has driven you into technology. So how did your love for technology begin? And then how did that evolve into being an executive as well as now an entrepreneur?
Well, I believe that you're right. Everything with me started out as curiosity. I asked so many questions as a kid, like, why does the moon follow me? I just could not understand why I could see the moon from everywhere. So why does the moon follow me?
I love that the moon was following you.
It was following me. It really was.
Great.
And, so entrepreneurship was really the first thing that propelled me. It really wasn't technology in a sense. It's some sense of ownership. But I can tie technology back to when I was a kid. I grew up in Griffin, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta.
Yes.
And so, you have the home, small town feel, but I've kind of still felt that big city vibe. My mother would go to New York and would come back and talk about New York. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the leap. And so when I was a kid, my mother won a computer. She was an accountant at a bank, and she won it. Wow. And she brought it home. And first thing I did was I took it apart, because I wanted to see how it worked. And
are you an engineer also by training?
Absolutely. And
here's the question: did you put it back together again?
Well, that was a thing. I had a Polaroid camera, and I took pictures of before, and then every component that I took out.
Smart.
And then I had a little dictionary to kind of look up the components, but I knew if I had pictures, then I could put it back together. And I remember she was cooking dinner, and she said to me, when I get done, you better have that computer put together. And
Chandra, how old were you?
So this was probably 80. So I had to have been about 10. Maybe 10 or 11, 12, something around that age. But I knew better, you know what I mean? But the curiosity in me was just like, I don't understand how it's presenting itself on the screen. I got to figure this out. And so that is what started off the technology and the engineering sense. My father, he worked for Ford for 40 years. So my father
Ford Motor Company.
Ford Motor Company at the Hateville plant here in Atlanta.
Yes.
And he was a tinker, so he could, put things together based on what he did for a living. My mother was also, she was highly, highly technical. Everything we had was technical, whether it was a box that gave you these words. I don't know if you remember this little box they had back in the day, and it was a hangman box. And it would have these like lines, and you had to figure out
the words.
Right.
Yes.
So I mean, like every boom box you could think of. So we had so many little technology gadgets that you couldn't help but to be, intrigued or interested.
Yeah. And
so I think that's where the love of technology, because in our age groups, I think the X generation is on the cuff of every invention from the start of IT all the way up to what it is now.
Yeah.
And so that is where I got my engineering spirit.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing altogether is you were pretty much came into the world with this curiosity, but you also have these interesting people in your life. Your dad, who worked for Ford, and you self-describe him as a tinker, and then your mom. Again, this is another, I think, kind of outside the box for women in that time era to be an accountant with a bank, but loved the technical aspects. So you couldn't help to be, I think, curious from what was all around you. But also, it sounds like some acceptance of your curiosity, because you at least were able to, you were given the opportunity to put that computer back together again, versus what may have happened to many children at that point if they had taken the computer apart. So some confidence in your parent and in you that, yeah, she could probably do it.
And I think I was just accepting that I would probably get in, my butt whooped. So I accepted that first. I'm just going to take this L. And then if I win and I get
that's the moxie.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay. All right.
But my love was entrepreneurship. I quickly, when I moved to high school, I started to realize that everybody want to look good. They want their hair done. They want their outfits done. So I was very good at doing hair. Okay. And so what I would do is I would do hair at home and then just charge people to do their hair. And back then, the ponytail bob was the thing.
Uh-huh.
This is the early 90s. I mean, right before Salt and Pepper came out.
Yes.
Right, left, left, so that was the thing. People knew if they wanted to get their hair done and it looked like they came out of the salon, they would call me. But I realized that this is something that I can make money from. You know what I mean? It's something that I can buy my own stuff. I don't have to ask my parents. So I think the entrepreneurship started at an early age as well. And so, you take the things that you're good at and you kind of pair them together.
Yeah. And so how did you transition from, you were good at doing hair in high school. How did you make the transition into technology?
Well, that took a lot of standing, a lot of handwork. So I knew that wasn't something that I was wanting to do. And I decided to move to Atlanta when I was 17. And my father said, hey, we can get you a salon here in Griffin, but that just wasn't what I wanted to do. And quite frankly, my cousin who went to Clark Atlanta, she became an executive for Frito-Lay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I saw the benefits of sitting in the boardrooms and sitting in that executive suite. And I said, that is something that I think I really would like to do. So when I first moved to Atlanta, I started a little ice cream company called Cool Downs Italian Ice. And
wait a minute. Can we just go back just a little bit? You're 17. You moved to Atlanta and you decided to start an ice cream company.
I did. I did.
I mean, I'm imagining myself at 17 and I wouldn't have been able to fathom how to do it, number one. But even to be quite honest, had the confidence that I could be the person that could do that. Where did that come from?
Well, I was working for, I forget the company that I was doing some temp work for. And I met this guy from Philadelphia and he told me that, we were talking about shaved ice. And to me, it was just an icy. And he said, well, no, the term water ice came from Philadelphia.
Yes.
And the way that we shaved ice. And so at the time, I was going through a transition as a 17-year-old where I was looking at the things that you eat. I became a vegetarian. I, was really, really into the foods anything that I put into my body. I was really serious about that.
And that was like early 90s Atlanta. So you're in the South and you're talking about being a vegetarian. Where I'm from in LA, that makes sense. That must have been really difficult here in Atlanta.
That was tough. The first thing people, they think you're losing your mind. But I had read this book called Back to Eden. And once I read it and I understood, the chemicals that we were putting into our bodies, not even just the food, but how you take a bath, how you wash your face, the type of makeup, what are you using on your hair? So I ended up locking my hair. I had locks. And when
And that's, again, early 90s.
This is early 90s. This is like 92, 93.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the early 90s. And then I had a roommate, and so that was good, but still, it was scary for my parents because
Yes.
here I am 17 saying I'm out. I'm going on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Italian ice, I had a twist to it. I was like, what if I, instead of using the ingredients that they were using, which was on sugar, what if I could take real fruit and blend these fruits and put them into the Italian ice where it could be a little bit more chunkier and you can taste the flavors. It was a totally different taste.
Like a smoothie.
Now
That's a precursor to some sort of smoothie is how I look at it.
It really was. And so I found out that you had to have a commissary. So I found a little store and that he had also was working out of and started going to the store and acquiring these little carts that you could take out to different places. So Freaknik, I was there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. I was shaving ice. But I mean, I could literally go out to a Clark football game or a Morehouse football game and make rent that day. And this was in the early 90s, so I was doing really good at it. And so, the rest is history on that. I ended up meeting my late husband, and I was telling him about how I saw that technology was starting to transform how people were using Word, PowerPoint, Excel, but it was so blocky. It just wasn't what people know of today.
Yes.
And I decided to go the what we would call Unix route. So that's a comparison to a Microsoft Windows
Unix.
11. I went the Unix.
And tell us why, because that would have been sort of not revolutionary, but certainly going against the grain, because I know about Microsoft. Tell us why you did that.
Money.
Okay.
When I was a
Practical.
researcher, so when I looked at, the scale, first of all, it wasn't that many women and definitely wasn't that many Black women in the field. And so Unix is more of a terminal type operating system where you would have to know command lines. It wasn't the GUI interface that with
Like
Microsoft.
the codes.
So Chandra,
You're speaking French.
Yeah, we gotta let's make it so even a physician can understand this.
And that is great. I'm glad you said that because that is important. So basically, in order to run these operating systems, you would have to know code.
Okay.
But with Microsoft, you can just point and click. I want to point and move. So GUI is a graphical user interface. So, when you first started using Windows, it was simple because you understood the icons.
Yes.
But that wasn't the case for Unix. You had to know how to move from one folder to the other one by putting in a command line. So that was a whole lot difficult.
But that also makes you, I don't want to say more marketable, but it gives you additional skill sets.
Absolutely. And it was a system that was a lot more stable because that system doesn't have to be refreshed every time you run into a problem. You don't have to reboot. You just start services and things of that nature. So Microsoft wasn't my path, but it was his path. But we met in the middle because you still had to understand technology. So we were still able to meet in the middle. Okay. And that was the start of my technology career.
Wow. So you go from this, you make this leap from kind of side hustle to becoming known as the Olivia Pope of technology. And already I can say I completely see you embodying Olivia Pope, because as Sylvia just said, it sounds revolutionary. That's what I wrote on my paper, visionary. Already doing things that are way outside the box for, say, a woman, for a woman of color, that's so young. Tell us how you made the transition into where you are now.
Well, after that transition, I was working for a company called Melita International, and it was a predictive dialing system. So every time you get a call that you needed to make a payment on something, this system is what was calling each person. And I noticed that the men who were African American, they dressed really nice and they were really smart. So I found my way to sit beside them at every point. And it was a curiosity that propelled me to ask so many questions. It was almost like, I think you like us and that's why you're hanging around us. And I'm like, no, I want to know, I want to get to where you are. I want to understand these systems. And so they said, really? Okay. And put me all in. So it's like, okay, now it's back to the computer that I took apart. It's do or die.
Yes.
Learn it. And back then they had these, mind you, I started off in college, but you know.
And where'd you go to college?
It was
Perimeter.
Which is now Georgia State, but it was Perimeter.
Okay.
And, for some reason, I thought I wanted to be one of you guys. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. So I was like, I'm going for pre-med. And then I was like, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
That's too much school for me. I don't want to do that. But I could learn stuff really fast.
Yes.
And at that time, they had these books called Cram Session. And so you could pick whether it's programming, whether it's cybersecurity, you can pick these series of books to learn. And that's what I did. And then I quickly moved to a technical support engineer where I would take calls and help people with their calls.
Oh, like the help desk.
Like a help desk.
Okay.
Like a help desk.
Okay.
And then after I left Melita, I went to IBM.
Okay.
I was working with IBM as same thing. And then there was an opportunity at CNN, and I will never forget it because it was a week before September 11th.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like I went in as a contractor, and then on the day that I was just really working, September 11th happened, and that changed everything because they were like, this is the day you're going to learn today. So whatever you don't know, that's fine. Bring what you do know.
Okay.
And sometimes that's kind of hard when you're moving into another direction.
New industry.
You got to try to figure out what you don't know.
Yes.
And I think that is important to understand what you don't know. And so September 11th started, and CNN was not for the faint of hearts. You had to know your stuff to get in and to stay in and to maintain it. But it was a really good, really big family. And so, you know, being at CNN, I learned a lot. I moved up fairly quickly.
Okay.
I was in IT.
Okay.
And so, you know, there was two facets of it. There's the media side, and then there's the IT. Believe it or not, we were hosting sites for people like Jeff Gordon, the PGA, Cartoon Network, all of those industries. We were hosting their websites, and we were handling a lot of their back end. Most people don't know that.
Okay.
Wow.
And so like I said, I just asked so many questions. It was curiosity. So I was able to bounce around with the network engineers. I was able to bounce around with the web developers and even the executive staff who would pretty much bring you along with them if you were interested enough. And then I had moved up to senior engineer, and an opportunity came for a director of IT at Morehouse College. And at the time, I had a son. I mean, you know, I have a son, so I'm thinking, this is great. My son
he might be able to go to Morehouse when it comes time, and
and it was Morehouse. I mean, you know, a lot of my family members went to Clark, and so it was just being a part of that family. This would have been great. And I took the position as director of IT for Morehouse, and loved it. Loved being around the students. It was a totally different
vibe,
outlook, right?
Yes.
It was a totally different vibe. You're right, than what it was at CNN, where you had money to buy the technology that you needed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you're coming into an organization where you know you don't have just money to play with, and you have to be very strategic, and then you want to have the technology that the students need to progress,
to keep up.
Exactly.
Wow.
So let's switch gears a little bit. I loved your bio because you talked about being a futurist. And when I think about the tradition of Afrofuturism in music, I think Erykah Badu and Nona Hendrix. There's just, when we think about literature, we have Jamaica Kincaid. Can you talk about how you see yourself in the tradition of Afrofuturism?
Good question. I do see myself as a futurist, and that's because I'm motivated by curiosity and change. And with future technology comes change, and you have to be comfortable operating a few steps ahead, because sometimes you're going to fall kind of short, but then you're right on the money when you're operating steps ahead. But I will be honest and say I really didn't pay attention to the word until you asked about it. And I said, wow, wait a minute. So when I did my research, I don't know if I can actually say that I am a Afrofuturist, but I deeply respect the cultural lens.
Certainly are. You are a Black woman who was at the forefront of technology, and you are a trailblazer. So you are in that tradition, most definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Sometimes we coin ourselves certain things, right? And I do want to be cognizant of that. But it made me think back to the Jetsons. It made me think back to watching the Jetsons and my mother saying, pay attention, because this is going to happen one day. Because she loves sci-fi movies, and she said,
Star Trek and Uhura and Star Trek.
But the one thing that I did notice at an early age is that where are all the Black people? There's no Black people on the wall, just like 4 days, I think it was, Spike Lee at that one scene. And it's the same with that. I'm thinking, is that how they see the future without us? So Sylvia, I would agree with you in that regard. Now that I have understood the actual term and what it truly means, then I can see myself operating in that space. Absolutely.
Well, as you talk about the Jetsons, one of my favorites, but I have to say I definitely didn't see beyond, George and all of the characters, so I certainly see where my lane was more, I have to see it to believe it. So medicine versus your route and the curiosity in terms of technology and breaking things apart. So certainly AI has turned the whole tech world on its head. So kind of like in that imagination portion of the Jetsons, I didn't imagine it. You probably did. So I'm imagining you probably had some insight into AI coming about and how it's just kind of taken fire. What do you see on the horizon for technology now that we're in this era over the next few years with AI?
Well, AI is an old term. AI has been around since probably the late 60s, 70s. So it's been around. But, just the access that regular people have wasn't around until now. Because now AI can understand what they call natural language processing. So now, back in the day, we had zeros and ones, you know what I mean? But now you can actually, to this particular platform.
So when I say, Alexa, please, turn on Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Natural language. Okay.
Natural language. But the difference is natural language a couple of years ago was based on a set of rules. So you said, if someone says this, then that, right?
Yes.
It was just a set of rules. But now, 2025 and on out, it's more of an agentic, meaning Agentic's AI is the ability to take the natural language, understand it, process it, and then go on to do other things outside of just the task that you have assigned it, and maybe possibly even creating new things. So that's a step further. It's almost like you're giving your assistant instructions, and your assistant will take the instructions and do exactly like you said. But now AI says, I'm going to give you instructions. And now you have a super assistant who's going to say, well, did you think about this? In the medical field, we have to worry about identity and things of that nature. It can think more and bring you new things. And so I think 2 words on the horizon for IT, it's robotics and agentics. and the two will converge.
And so what do you say to those of us out here when we hear all of this and we're not, as adept as you are and are literally in some ways terrified of what could potentially happen with the trajectory in which the way things are progressing?
I think that we have to put the onus on people like myself and the technologists to make sure that we have ethics and governance around this particular technology.
Can you please say that again? Because
Yes.
when I think about who is at the table making the rules or making the next AI technology, whether it's a Chat GPT or I use Claude a lot now, Perplexity, how they build, I guess, the rules or the systems, they don't always include people who look like you and me. So how do we make sure that the problems of the real world, racism, sexism, misogyny, classism, all those things are not then baked in to this new technology?
I think companies have to be aware of public AI and private AI, right? Those are two total, it's almost like back in the day when we was moving things to the cloud. Remember when you was moving things to the cloud, you could share space with people, or you could have a private cloud where you're not sharing your data or space with any.
But if it's in the cloud, it's already out there. Because remember the breaches of the cloud and your pictures, not my pictures, but someone's pictures showed up.
Right. But when we are building these models, right, or using the models, when I say models, I'm talking about Chat, Perplexity, Gemini, all those things. That's a large language model.
Okay.
We do have the ability to have smaller models based on your data, based on how you teach the model. You can use the technology of Chat, but you still have to, and I'm just going to go back to ethics again, and we have to push ethics committees. We have to look at like the World Economic Forum and get in touch with these officials to let them know we're still seeing where I just did a presentation for a conference I'm speaking at in November. And I wanted to use AI to do this presentation so that I could show the ethics and the governance within it. And when I did the presentation, it came back with boardroom pictures, because I'm talking to a set of CEOs and board members, and it came back with no African Americans in any of the pictures. And I want to use that as an example to show some people probably think that ethics wise we're good, but we're not. So we have to express, how do we still have to express to let them know, the Zuckerbergs of the world, and the Chat GPT, OpenAI, we'll have to let them know we're still seeing issues with ethics. Representation. And even on how we educate different classes, we have to make sure that the education is out here. Everything is still fairly new. If you really look at it, everything is fairly new. We still have to worry about privacy concerns and data breaches.
Yeah. And so going from the ethics and everything you're speaking of and AI, you also focus on cybersecurity. So how do you see those threats moving forward? And really for the listeners and us, how can we stay safe online? Any kind of general rules of thumb?
I think deep fakes is going to be the thing. People are going to make videos that look like you. Right now, there's Soro that's out right now where you can kind of create a video just off of a prompt, right? But I noticed that it won't allow you to use somebody else's picture. I can guarantee you within the next couple of weeks, somebody's going to find a way around that. So number one.
But then once it's out there, couldn't someone just then remove it and use it again once I release it?
Absolutely. And I think that's where policies, we have to have people in our Senate, everybody on the government level, we have to get them involved to kind of slow it down in a sense. And I'm
but they have to understand it first, right? And they're like us. So, how do we educate? How does that happen? What's the process in terms of educating the legislators?
That's a fairly good question. And that is something that I really don't have a full answer at this moment because of how fast and how rapid it's happening. But what I will say, even for just individuals, with a deep fake, have a code word for your family members.
Okay.
When someone calls and says, Angela, we have Sylvia, we need $1 million. And you know that Sylvia just left your house. Like that, let me call her though. Let me call her to make sure that she really just left my house and nobody, intercepted her on the way. So I think families having a code word.
Okay.
Also, social engineering is a big one too. All of the, and some people look at social engineering is where I can take your, it's deep fake would be included in social engineering.
Okay.
Or sending you ransomware or sending you emails that could possibly look real. That's where the verification goes in. And I know it's a nuance because everybody is busy, but sometimes you do have to take just one stop to really think, would someone in my staff send me something that says I need 15 gift cards and I'm going to give, and it's maybe your assistant. So the assistant has to kind of use curiosity again and think, would my leader send me an email and say, go out and get 15 gift cards? And I see that a lot.
Really?
Even CFOs have done it. Have done it.
But we're so busy now and we're so inundated by multiple email accounts, whether it's, it's work, there's home email account. If you have some type of side hustle, it probably has an email account. And if you are not vigilant, it is easy to kind of fall prey to that. Or you're on the other extreme where I tend to be is that I'm deleting everything. And then I realize, oh man, that was a real email. Let me go back and pull that out of the trash.
Absolutely.
It can definitely be overwhelming. But I guess in general, how do you see that, I guess going back to artificial intelligence or even social engineering for that matter, makes our lives easier? Tell us about the good.
The positive.
The positive. The positive is just like Brainchild, what we do is we work with organizations to look at what are your pain points? What is something that you do on a regular that if it was automated would save you 3-4 hours a week? Some people probably think 3 to 4 hours a week. You're thinking 3 or 4 hours a day. I want 3 to 4 hours a day. But 3 or 4 hours a week, that's an hour a day, lot of time coming back.
It is.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those repetitive tasks that you're doing, because it's going to, at some point, the robotics and the agentics is going to converge and businesses are going to start swaying to that anyway. So I say, the talk is AI will take people's jobs. That there is some truth to that, but it's no different than how the first and second industrial revolution, started. It's the same thing. It will create jobs.
Automation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
and what would you say to this generation of college students as they're thinking about what they'd like to do in the future, whether it's software engineering or whatever it is? What do you say to them on how to, in essence, predict where things are going to fall out such that they are still marketable and have the skill sets for the next generation of jobs and employment?
That's a good one. I have young adults now, and I think the days of going to school just becoming a programmer is different, and the schools will start to transition too. I think that this younger generation have to understand electrical, plumbing, contract work. Those are the things that's the industries. Some people would look at plumbers 15 years ago and say, oh,
absolutely.
It's just a plumber.
Do you know how much it costs to get a plumber to your house?
Yes.
In a timely
on a Saturday
fashion?
or Sunday? Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then think about when you're pairing plumbing with AI. So imagine, if
that little camera thing that goes down the pipe.
oh, it's
beyond
deeper
that.
than that now.
More than that.
Yeah, it's
I'm just a
lot
doctor.
And
That's
even
a
in the medical
colonoscopy.
field, there are
Yes.
glasses out now where, and I think Georgia Power is using it to a certain degree. And don't quote me on this, but I think they are, where the engineers could wear the glasses and then go out to a line. And if they run into any problems, glasses can take a picture of whatever component that they're working on, send it back to a large language model like Chat, Perplexity, and it can analyze the problem and tell them how to fix it.
Very
That's
nice.
crazy. Wow.
So even if you're not this expert electrician, as long as you're licensed and you're running into a problem, instead of the problem, pausing and then you have to wait to a supervisor or someone else, this is something that you could utilize that could tell you what to do in the moment. So that's what I'm saying about kind of pairing. And for the younger generation, you have to figure out a way to use AI as a companion. Use it to learn things that you never thought you could learn, or maybe couldn't even afford to go to college and learn.
Yeah. Wow.
So Chandra, you brought up plumbing and electrical. So I'm going to shift to kind of housing and redevelopment. And I know that you have a DIY bug. So can you kind of talk about how you got into DIY projects and your favorite projects so far?
Yes. So not only was I coined Olivia Pope of technology, but also the jack of all trades.
Okay.
Whenever somebody if they're looking to fix something or do anything, whether it's with a house, a car, or anything, somebody's like, call Shan. And
You're a tinkerer as well.
Yeah.
You got it honestly.
Yes. And so I, with my mom, putting wallpaper up and doing things like that. I made my own clothes. So anything that was domestic in a sense, I leaned into it. But getting into the DIY thing before it became a thing online, I quickly realized that, plumbing, electrical is expensive. And sometimes you're in a position where if it's late night and something breaks, you don't really have time. And I just did that. Let me go online and watch a video and see how to fix it. And so that's what really got me started. One too many things broke. Everyone wants a house until things break, right?
Right. Yes.
And I just started seeing a vision for how I wanted my house to be. And I wasn't scared to take down walls and things of that nature. So, but I think my biggest project is my entire home. I've had to learn on the go. And so I've had to do the electrical, I have to do the plumbing and actually build out walls. But, thanks to YouTube and other people sharing their experiences, it helped me propel forward.
And you have clearly an aptitude, because there'd be no way in the world I could take down a wall and put it back up and not electrocute myself or flood my house. So I think you are downplaying your skill sets.
And then, I'm from Griffin, so, I'm not afraid to get dirty. Because I can do my own nails. I'll do my nails and my hair later, but I'm not afraid to get dirty.
Well, you were definitely, I would say, an oddity in the best way that I could possibly, kind of give you kudos, because you've got this complete curiosity side, creative, but yet this extreme, mastery of technology. So yeah, certainly jack of all trades. I see that. And along those lines, with so much that's at your fingertips and, that you've already touched thus far in life, what do you see for yourself next, either personally or professionally or both?
Well, I will start with personally.
Okay.
My next lifetime, my mother said, well, you're half of 100 already. So yes, right.
Yes, you have a whole nother half. That's right. That's how I look at it.
Yes. And I'm excited about it because, once you get to that point in life, you start the things that you cared about or that was really minute, you don't care anymore.
Yes.
And it helps you overcome fear. And so personally, my next goal is to become a full developer. I would love
Okay.
to develop a active senior communities
Oh,
that is
wow.
technology driven
I
to help
love it.
on different elements, starting here, definitely,
Everywhere.
and then everywhere. And
Wow.
especially for our communities. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I, even as I
Yes.
progressed and moved up as VP and all these things, I still stayed in my area with my people. And
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we start
Mm.
doing that and bringing back families and looking at the
Yeah.
tradition of like the Asian communities and
Mm-hmm.
how they look at their elders and bring them back
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, just dealing with my own parents, I would love to build them, even if it's a small, my mother probably would hear this and she's going to be screaming because she sees the vision of having a tiny house with all the latest technologies and maybe
Huh.
even a little robot companion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So personally,
Your mom sees this? That's wild.
oh
I
yes,
love it.
oh
Love
yes,
it.
oh
Love that.
yes. Oh, yes. And so I'm working on a prototype right now for a little small robot that I'm building. So now I have to learn mechanical engineering to be able to build this robot
Mm.
the way I
And
want to.
do you have a name for the robot? Well, you probably don't want to tell us that. When you have the prototype done and you're moving forward, please come back so that we
Yes.
can talk
Absolutely.
about the robot. And I'm
Yes.
going to send you a list of names offline for your robot, but everything is in the name. I love it. I love
Yes.
That
it.
would be
Yeah.
great, actually.
Yes, but
Wow. Did you?
especially we spend a lot of time talking about being caregivers, and you're
Yes.
kind of alluding to that when we
Mm-hmm.
talk about aging in place and how our homes can assist or not assist us in aging in place, and then
Mm-hmm.
having a multi-generational
Yeah.
home or community so that we can all use technology for our benefit and for the betterment of the community. I am
Yeah.
moved by that. That is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I would also combine that with financial literacy
Oh,
because in order
Yes.
to get to that
amen.
place, you
No
still
money,
have
no
to
honey.
have
Yes.
absolutely and just
Yes.
building generational wealth. You know what
Well.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
Those things that can give us the ability to acquire land where we can
Mhm.
build on our land, we can grow our own foods,
Yeah.
and make our own medicines that's
Yeah.
for our bodies,
Yeah.
which is different.
Yes.
And
I
so
agree with you 100%.
the first thing though is to how do we situate our aging
Yes.
families and
Mm-hmm.
then also educate our younger generation on the financial
Mhm.
front because everything once
Mhm.
that happens everything else will fall into place.
Mhm.
Mm. Beautiful. Love that.
Wow.
Love all that you're doing.
Thank you.
And with so much innovation and disruption, and I mean, with the good and the bad that we have in the world, and certainly what you have in your world, is, I just can't even imagine. How do you stay grounded and how do you care for yourself? What does your self care regimen look like?
For me, health as well. And as you can imagine, because the company is called Brainchild,
Mm-hmm.
my brain is very important to me. It's the centralization of my entire nervous system, my entire body.
Hmm.
And so I'm really cautious about how I feed my brain.
Mhm.
That because everything else is going to come afterwards. And
Mm.
then the second portion is my body. I work out. I love to work out. I understand now that the way I worked out in my 20s, which was a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, things where
Yeah.
you're actually taking a beating, right?
Mhm.
Your body can
Mm-hmm.
sustain that more before you start moving into the different phases,
Yes.
perimenopause, menopause.
Mhm.
You have to change the way that you're eating. You have to change the
Mm-hmm.
way that you're exercising.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so I try to feed my brain by learning something every day. I don't care how simple it is. It could be, why the weather is in this state right now and global
Yes.
warming and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. Or it could be something as simple as something new to cook, but something.
Hmm.
And then the last and final thing is I smile all the time. I try to
Love it.
find things to smile about, and I'm
Love
silly.
that.
So if I stay silly and smile, that helps me through when times are tough. And I've gone through several things. I've raised my children. My husband passed when my kids were 3 years old. So I had no choice but to strap up my bootstraps and let's get it. But my health and my brain and my sanity was most important. So when things got tough, I kind of just laugh about it, because failure, it brings the curiosity again. How do I get out of it? So it keeps the brain going.
Love that.
So that's my thing.
I can relate. I loved what you said about silly, because I think maybe it's our community, but silly is thought of as like, I guess you equate it to being childish or ignorant. But I find myself in that like I laugh, I love to smile and feel like, I mean, I can be silly. And sometimes the silliness comes out with my kids more than anything else, or with my girlfriends. But I love the image of just being able to smile and finding something to smile about. And certainly those people that can laugh, there's definitely medical evidence that suggests that they live longer and healthier lives. So good on you.
Wow,
And
that's good to know.
Absolutely, for sure. For sure.
See, I learned something.
There you go.
Smiling. You're good for the day.
Well, I think I have my whole week's worth of learning something. I've got my notes and everything that we've taken today. So I've got my whole week's worth of what I've learned for a week. So thank you so much. Wow, what a amazing.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing, Chandra Brubaker. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Yes.
I would like to leave the audience with overcoming fear. And I'm going to bring curiosity into that too. But overcoming fear. And when I was sitting at a vice president for a foundation, but I knew this was the time. And sometimes when you have that gut feeling, sometimes you need to go with it. And I was fearful. And I realized after the first couple of weeks, like, what am I scared of? This is something that I've been doing. I've been taking risks. You have to take risks. But where we are in this age of losing healthcare, losing technology positions that some people went to school for years to get, we have to use curiosity to pivot what we're used to doing, because technology is not going to be as slow as it was 15 years ago. We can double that at this point. So the more curiosity you have, I think the more safe you will be. And you just have to continue to learn. I don't care how simple it is, but you have to continue to learn and have to have curiosity and accept change.
We can complain about it all we want, but it won't take us any further into the future unless we accept what's happening, add that ethical piece to it, as you say, but just know that, we're still moving forward. So you're either gonna, acknowledge it or get left behind. And you have certainly given us enough information, I think, that we can, move forward in a positive direction from here. So we're so grateful for everything that you shared. And we'd love, before we kind of close out, can you tell us where people can find you?
Yes, definitely. I'm out on LinkedIn, so you can always find me on LinkedIn. But I would love for people to visit the website, and it's brainchildit.com. And just go on the website, fill out the form. And what I'm trying to do now is gather how many people are in that situation that you guys are in. Where do I start? Where do I go? And this will help us be able to figure out just how many people out there need this type of help, so that we can start building learning platforms for people. And based on how you learn. A friend of mine told me, I was trying to tell her something, and she was like, no, I don't learn that way. This is how I learn. But it made me stop. It made me stop and think. We have to have so many different ways to teach people this technology. So come to the website, and more to come. And I will be getting back with you guys later on some other things that we're working on. We cannot quite release right this moment, but
we look forward to it. And then you have an open platform.
Invitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So brainchildit.com. And everything that you mentioned will be in our show notes So we hope that people will
Absolutely.
take
Great.
advantage of that. So again, we can't thank you enough. Not only is my cup full, but the bowl and the pot on the stove, everything is just full of good stuff to dive into and take notes later, or dive into my notes later. But we thank you and appreciate your time. And we know that our listeners will absolutely appreciate everything that you had to share, and certainly will share this with their family members and friends and family. So until we meet again, Chandra, may you be well.
Same to you, and thank you for having me. It's a really good platform, and I am so excited to see what's next.
Angela, that was an awesome conversation with Chandra Brubaker. When we talk about ice cream maker, Afrofuturist, DIY, IT entrepreneur, and soon to be developer, I was blown away. That was truly a delightful conversation. And there were so many pearls and take homes that I had. When we think about, she talked about digging into curiosity, which I'm a huge fan on.
That's your word.
One of my favorite phrases from her was, I am very cautious about how I feed my brain.
Yes.
And then she hit us with learning something every day. So what did you take home from Chandra Brubaker?
Yes, I had so much that I took away. Actually, my list would be too long to add to this segment to make it too lengthy. But overall, my impression of the Olivia Pope of technology, 100%. She's a revolutionary, visionary, and it seems like every topic that you could think of, she's touched on it. And even with our conversation offline, I was, to say the least, super impressed. But I felt she was very authentic in what she had to bring. In her intentionality about what she's doing. Some of the things that stuck with me, one of the phrases, health is wealth. You can't understate that. And actually that is forefront in my mind. Actually, I woke up this morning, I'm having some pain in my hip. And you start to, as we get to this point in life, you get aches and pains here and there, but I'd never want something to limit what I'm able to do. So reminded myself of that notion of when something's whispering, pay attention, don't put it aside, because our health dictates how we move through this life and how we achieve our joy, right? So my joy is walking, used to be running, and I just had this vision of myself running. I'm thinking, I've got that vision for some reason. So I need to, this is a long-winded answer to the health is wealth, but I need to figure out what's going on and remedy the situation, do what I need to do, whether it's PT or whatever, because our health really does dictate how we experience the rest of our lives. So in this next 50 years.
2 quick things. Every doctor needs a doctor. You must be a patient. And I'm saying that for our audience because we have doctors. And then the other thing is purely selfish is Girls Trip is coming up. So I'm going to need you to get your hip together because we're going to be moving. We do stuff on our Girls Trip. It is an active trip. So get your hip together.
Please I'm proceed. Thinking about all that. Yes. So health is wealth. That stuck with me for personal reasons. Feeding her brain, which is what you said, and learning something new every day. So important. And I feel like I tried to do that and just took that menopause certificate.
And do we have something to announce?
Yeah. So now it's the Menopause Society. I have the certification and did the test. But when I was preparing for the test, I'm like, why am I know what I know. Why am I doing more? But it's relevant and it's important. And, I'm serving a population, half of our population women, that and more of us into menopause, and want to know as much as I possibly can and be the best service, not only to myself selfishly, but to patients and women out there. So yes, that was part of learning every day.
We need more doctors that are certified in menopause so that we can continue to have the conversation so that we can age with grace and to live our best lives. So kudos to you. Congratulations.
Thank you. But that was part of, okay, I'm doing this because I am still curious and I'm learning every day. Yes. So that was confirmation of that. And the last thing she mentioned was overcoming fear. So being in that boardroom or in that meeting, when you have that gut feeling, you sometimes just have to take the risk. And I think does come easier in this stage of life than it would have been at 20 years old or 30 years old. But I don't think you can discount that when you have the fear, you can't let fear dictate how you proceed through life. So you can use that however you want. But yes, she had so many pearls. I've got a laundry list of things that I'm going to write down and put in my journal for later. So we are very grateful for the experience, very grateful for Chandra and all that she had to offer. And we will put all of her information in our show notes. And we certainly feel like there's probably something you took home today that was valuable, and certainly something that you could share with friends, family, someone in your life that you could definitely use some positive information here. And we would love for you to like, follow, share. We're on all streaming platforms. You can reach us at bossleap, LEAP, podcast.com. You can leave us a comment there, or if there's something that you would like for us to share, or even a podcast interviewee, we would love to have that. You can subscribe on our YouTube channel, Boss Leap Podcast. That's LEAP podcast. And love for you to continue to follow and share with us on this journey. Sylvia, I am grateful to you as always.
And I'm grateful for you.
Wonderful. And until we meet again, may you be well.
May you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. You know, it's the legal language. And you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.